of U.S. citizen Danny Fenster, who was working as a journalist in Burma. Yesterday, Danny marked his 100th day in detention. Journalism is not a crime. The detention of Danny Fenster and other journalists constitutes an unacceptable attack on freedom of expression in Burma. We continue to press Burma's military regime to release Danny immediately. We will do so until he safely returns home to his family.
And that's not just bad for the State Department, that's bad for the free press, and it's bad for journalists working in dangerous places. Because dictators feel comfortable cracking down, knowing they can just do a "what about Julian Assange?"
But if you raise this question, can I ask you also one? How do you assess what happened to Mr. Assange? Is it a reflection of free media in your country?
We're not here to discuss
No,
my
let's
country.
discuss.
No.
Let's discuss.
No, President
In order
Aliyev.
to accuse me, saying that Armenians will not have free media here, let's talk about Assange. How many years he spent in Ecuadorian embassy, and for what? And where is he now? For journalistic activity. You kept that person hostage, actually killing him morally and physically. You did it, not us, and now he's in prison. So you have no moral right to talk about free media when you do these things.
Returning to the conflict.
Better return to the conflict, because this is not what you like.
Right.
You like only to accuse, only to attack.
Now, to be clear, the president of Azerbaijan is, in fact, cracking down on dissent. And it would be good if there was somebody with the moral authority to call that out. Danny Fenster absolutely should be free and back with his family. And I wish the U.S. demand carried more moral weight. Fenster and other imprisoned journalists around the world are the collateral damage of the U.S.'s war on WikiLeaks. Still, the U.S. wants the world to think Assange is not a journalist, therefore there's no crackdown on the press. Instead, the U.S. argues publicly Assange is a hacker. Now, as I talked about previously on this show, the actual indictment does in fact charge Assange with publishing documents, which means they are in fact charging him for journalism. But that fact is obfuscated in public with the focus on Assange as an alleged hacker. To make that case, the U.S. relies heavily on Siggy Thugdarson, who was a teenager and a volunteer for WikiLeaks, and incidentally, he stole a lot of donations from them. Earlier this year, a major Icelandic news magazine reported that Thugdarson was retracting his allegation. Assange had not, in fact, asked him to hack into anything, Thugdarson said. This week, for the first time, the outlet published quotes and audio from the conversation. The first part is about documents and audio recordings that the indictment claimed were hacked from an Icelandic bank at the direction of Assange. He got the documents independently and simply handed them over to Assange. The indictment alleges that Assange asked Thugdarson, quote, to hack into computers to obtain information including audio recordings of phone conversations between high-ranking officials, including members of the parliament of the government of NATO Country 1. NATO Country 1 in the indictment, that's Iceland. So here's Thugdarson.
Með USB-líki, með símtöl. Ok, þannig að hann fekk þessi símtöl.
Alla var skránar, ég hlustaði á það, þannig ég beinti það á ég.
Var ekkert, þið langi ekkert að kíkja og heyra það, ég meina, hvað var þetta stór fæll?
Ég man ekki hvað, ég var að gera eitthvað, þannig ég hugsaði bara, ég hefði bara hendur glúnað þá fyrir yfir.
Ok, en meina, hvað var þetta stór fæll? Þú veist, þetta hefur þó, þú veist, var þetta 16 gigabit eða 42 gigabit?
Nei, þetta hefur farið á 34-60 gigabit disk.
Later, the reporter talks to Thugdarson about why the indictment says that Assange asked him to hack the bank.
Sagði þú við FBI
Að ég hafi hakkað?
Já.
Nei.
Og að Assange hafi beðið að hakka?
Nei.
En af hverju stendur það þá í ákærunni?
Get ekki svaraði.
Er það þú vilt það ekki eða þú veist, er það FBI getur ekki svaraði?
Ég get ekki svaraði.
Af hverju getur ekki svaraði?
Af því maður það ekki.
There's a lot more in the interview, and I'd encourage you to read the whole thing. The short version, though, is that the U.S. case against Assange relies entirely on the fact that he published documents the U.S. didn't want published. The only proper response to that is this.
Journalism is not a crime.
Ned Price is correct. Kim, what's it going to take to get the State Department and the Department of Justice here to do the right thing?
I mean, really good friends of mine.